Okay, my name is Dr. Karen Lehe, and I'm here to tell you guys about an organic acid that we have in our portfolio at Novus called Activate WD-US Max. And this is an organic acid that has been improving performance when we deliver it through the water to pigs and sows. So what exactly is Activate WD-US Max? Well, it's a blend of organic and inorganic acids, and it actually contains our signature product, Alamit, which is our methionine analog that is in and of itself an organic acid. It also contains lactic acid, which is another organic acid, and it contains phosphoric acid, which, as you know, is inorganic. Inorganic meaning there's no carbon involved. Because of the phosphoric acid in this liquid product, when we add it to drinking water, we can dramatically reduce the pH of drinking water, which is great for pigs because they really like a low pH in their drinking water. We know with internal studies at Novus that we do inhibit the growth of E. coli, Clostridium, and Salmonella with this product. We can improve gut health. We have great research, especially on the poultry side, showing that there's damage to the gut mucosa, that with this product in the feed or the water with our methionine product in there, that we greatly improve gut health, improving the maturity of cells as they mend and repair from a damaged mucosa. We also see improved performance in sows and pigs, as I mentioned before, and we lower the drinking water pH, which again is very important for baby pigs. So now I just want to show you a couple of examples. This first example is a nursery study that was done in a flow that was challenged with diarrhea. And we basically added Activate WD-US Max to the drinking water for the first 21 days post-weaning. So as soon as the pigs were weaned, their drinking water contained our product. The results of that study were that at the end of the nursery period, so at about 52 to 54 days, we had 3.9 pounds heavier pigs at the nursery exit. And on our pigs that were drinking Activate WD-US Max, we actually saw them at that higher weight at a younger age, so 52 versus 54 days, which is huge improvement production. Also, we did see a 3-point advantage of feed efficiency by feeding the Activate WD-US Max through the water, and that feed efficiency improved from 1.62 to 1.59. The next example is also a nursery study. In this study, our desired outcome was a little bit different, and in fact you'll see our data is different as well. Here, they just wanted to improve gut health. This was a nursery that was really plagued with medication costs that were too high on a per pig basis. And so what we saw here was actually the pigs left the nursery with the same exit weights and the same feed efficiency in the control versus the treated. However, we were able to drop the medication costs from 74 cents to 17 cents per pig, which is a huge improvement. Also eliminating some antibiotics, which as an industry we need to be working on that anyway, so that was a big benefit as well. And then when you talk about feed and facilities and everything incorporated, this particular system used the metric of feed cost per pound of gain to see how productive they were. And we were able to lower the feed cost per pound of gain from $1.45 to $1.39 by using the Activate WD-US Max. The next example is going to be one in sows. And the story here is that we thought, wow, if little pigs like this water and they drink it more, maybe sows would drink more. And if sows drank more, is there any way we could get, a better lactation performance? So that kind of sparked a desire to try it in the sows. So we have a couple of examples here. This one is 163 crate room, and this is actually the first time we tried it. We added in for the entire lactation period for the sow's water. And then we looked at the wean weight just compared to some historical controls. And in this demo, our pigs from sows drinking Activate WD-US Max were 1.69 pounds heavier at weaning. And then when we look at the additional revenue that this generated for the producer, because they were actually selling a weaned pig on a sliding scale, so they were getting extra cents per pound of pig over 12 pounds, and they actually got more money for the weaned pigs for a 3-to-1 return on investment in this demo. The next example, we thought after that when we said we need to know a little more, we need to have a little more control over how we do this. So we tried it again, and this time it was before and after in one room. So one turn with Activate WD-US Max, one turn on control. And here what we saw, we basically saw a improvement in the weaned pig weight, as well as an improvement in wean to first service interval for the sow. And so we're beginning to see both the sow benefit from the product as well as the weaned pig benefit. In this particular example, we did install a water meter to see if this in fact was an increase in water intake that created our result, and found that it is not. There was actually a slight decrease in water intake and yet improved performance. So we know we're impacting efficiency in some way. So this is the water consumption with and without Activate WD-US Max. We did go back and compare the environmental temperatures and the weather to make sure there wasn't an impact there, because it was in the heat of the summer. It was done in July last summer, and there was no difference environmentally that we could detect anyway. And so we don't know why they drank less, but certainly it didn't matter in this case because they produced better. Without Activate, our pig weights were 12.18 pounds, and with it 12.9, so a difference of about 3/4 of a pound. This particular farm also sold pigs on a sliding scale, and so there was some benefit to the 0.72 pounds for sure. And then this is what we saw with the wean to first serve interval, and here's where the real economic advantage comes in. When we looked at our parity sows that were mature but not old, so P3 to P6, we saw that without Activate, the wean to first serve interval was 5.6 days, and with it 4.1, so a day and a half improvement in wean to first serve, which is huge. If a non-productive sow day is worth, let's say, $3, that's $4.50 per sow, just on an improvement in non-productive days. And then interestingly, we went back and looked at our young sows separately. We pulled those out, and we looked at how many of those young girls, the gill tube farrowed for the first time, and our P2s returning to the farrowing room. And we saw that without Activate, we had 45% of those returned to heat and were served by 7 days post-weaning. However, with Activate, we raised that number to 75%. Huge improvement there as well. And in fact, this one is statistically significant. If you look at this in an odds ratio, the relative risk of not cycling back when you're not on Activate WD was 4.8 times higher. And the p-value there is significant. So we saw a really nice response even in a small number of animals. So after these first two, we did take the product to the field, and I can share some field data with you, but we also decided to do a larger study, and we're in the process of getting the data back from that study now. So in the near future, we're going to have more results to report. Finally, here's just one quick example in the field. In this particular system, we installed a Stenner pump here with an inline water meter. So there's an injection port here, and this way we can pull the Activate WD-US Max straight from the pail and don't have to mix a stock solution. As water flows through this meter, it sends a signal out telling how much water is flowing through, and accordingly, product is injected straight into the water line, so for all of farrowing. This is our results here. This is actual production data. So this is the adjusted wean weight. It's adjusted for age, okay? And this is when we added the Activate WD-US Max here. We spent some time putting it through the system with a dosatron. Their water quality was so poor that the dosatrons were having trouble keeping those going. So we're not sure in here if we were getting adequate dosage. But by the time we installed that Stenner pump, and since then, up until the last, I think I ran this for 3 weeks ago, it's the most current data I could get. And then we put a trend line on that data, and you can see that wean weight on that farm has gone from 12 to 14 pounds consistently. And they're very, very pleased with that. But it's also had a great effect on wean to first serve. Same type of setup for the graph, but you can see here our trend line. We're decreasing wean to first serve by several days over time. So it's been a great product for them. Likewise, you should see a subsequent rise in percent bred by 7 days, and we are seeing that. So that's our product from Novus. Activate WD-US Max, we're seeing improvements in both the pigs at weaning. When those pigs are moved onto the product in the nursery, then we see an improvement in their performance in terms of either improved gain in efficiency or a decrease in medication costs. But we're also getting a benefit back on the sow herself from consuming the product. So with that, any questions? Scott Moore, you must have a question.
Yeah, so how do you calculate the value of a non-productive sow?
So I go to the literature for that because economists have looked at that over time and with current corn prices, and I just use, there's really a range in there of anywhere from $2.50 to $5 across the literature, but currently the price that's being thrown around with our current corn prices and all that is about that $3 per day. It's a conservative figure, but it's a fair figure.
So Dr. Lehe, mode of action, 2 pounds on a wean pig is a lot.
It's a lot.
On a percentage basis. So what do you attribute that to?
Well, the sow is eating the product, okay? She's consuming it through the water, not the baby pig. And so we're doing something to impact sow health. I would guess we're probably decreasing the vertical transmission from sow to pig of different pathogens and farrowing. She's also feeling better if her gut health is improved and her efficiency is improved, that she's getting more out of the energy that she's taking in, and hopefully her lactation is improved, and that's contributing as well. So I would say decreased pathogens, increased gut health. At least based on our science we already have, that's the only thing I could say without speculating. Sure.
You mentioned that it helps limit antibiotics.
Yes. We don't, because it really depends on the challenge present in the group of pigs, whether or not those bacteria are sensitive to this type of intervention. Some bacteria can absorb this acid passively without any work. Once inside, the acid kind of falls apart and hydrogen kind of falls off. That's what's driving the pH down inside bacteria, okay? If you're a bacteria that can get rid of that hydrogen, no big deal. Some bacteria can't, okay? Those are E. coli, salmonellas, clostridiums. So it really depends on the challenge in the herd. It also depends on whether you have a pure disease challenge or if you have other pressures, other things that are causing the pig problems with performance, or maybe environmental stressors that are creating more clinical signs than you would have with maybe a better situation. So I would say each farm is different, and it just really depends on the situation as to whether or not this would be able to replace an antibiotic. We do have a dry form of Activate that is available to add to feed, and in that we've seen our best results of putting that in the non-medicated window in the nursery, because when producers have to vaccinate with oral vaccines in the nursery, they do have to pull all the antibiotics out of the feed. But with this product in place, you can support gut health, get a little bit of pathogen reduction, and get those pigs through that critical period when there are not antibiotics in the feed. We're not saying you should replace antibiotics, but if you can reduce them or augment them by adding this or using it when you can't use antibiotics, then it's definitely something worth trying.